Tip number 149 from the book 501 Contractor Tips. This is a biggie, banking problems. If you are 30 years old, there's a good chance that you have had a bank account for a while and at least ran into one or two problems. If you haven't, then I tip my hat to you. I had quite a few different problems with a variety of different banks. And I'm here to tell you that you don't need to put up with their crap. If they don't want your business, there's a good chance that another bank does. Unless, and I specify this in the tip here, unless it's the only bank in town. I mean, if you live in a town with two banks, there's a good chance that the other bank deals with the other bank or knows, has a pretty good idea what's going on, or they might even have the same type of service where they just don't care, And I've been in that spot before. You go down to the bank and it's a nightmare. You wait in the line for 15, 20 minutes and there's only two people in front of you. Nobody will come and offer any further assistance. If there's a problem with one person, they don't care if it takes them a half hour and 20 people are waiting in line. Hey, if this is the way you feel about your bank and they're not really serving you to the best of their ability, go somewhere else. Find a bank that will. And if you have a problem with a bank, let's just say, it was real common for me to get a check from somebody and have them want to hold it for 3 days or 7 days or whatever they felt like. And I remember telling them that this isn't what I want. And they looked at me just like, who cares what you want? I said, no, this is how it's going to be from now on. If I bring a check here, and and I'm not kidding you, I would even bring checks from their bank. These were checks that were from their bank. So if I was banking at Bank of America and the check that I received from my client was from Bank of America, they would hold that thing for 2 or 3 days. It just drove me nuts. I went in there one day and I told them, I said, this isn't what I want to do anymore. I'll go find another bank that wants my business, because I was just fed up. And it's shocking. But sometimes all you need to do is threaten somebody. Hey, I am not going to tolerate your poor service anymore. This is ridiculous. And they might do something about it. They might not do something about it. But if they don't, go to another bank. If they do, then your problem's solved. But part of a good life, I'm not talking about business here, part of just a nice quality of life, easy deal, is to eliminate problems from your life. Don't have them keep popping up over and over again. You've got to find a solution to these problems that just keep reappearing. Don't let it drag on. And this applies to your bank. I've had them hold my checks for 7 days, and then tell me that they need to hold it for another 3 days. They're having a problem. One time I was at the bank, they lost my check and told me that they were not going to deposit the funds. The check was gone. They lost it. This was unacceptable to me. So, and I probably already told this story before, but I went down to the bank or had someone else go down to the bank, and they drew out the amount of money that they had lost. The check they had lost, they took it out of a credit line that I had, and then went back to the bank. So we had the cash now, and all the money was out of our bank account. Went back to the bank and said, okay, here's what we're going to do. And they all of a sudden found the check and deposited the money. Does that sound like a scam? Well, hell yeah, it does. I took, after that, I limited my activity with the bank for about a year and then closed out the account because this isn't who I want to do business with. And I actually heard of this happening to another person. The person actually won the lottery, and it was a smaller amount. They won like $900. They took the check down. This is a government check that could be traced, obviously. They went down to the bank. The bank said they lost the check. They weren't going to be able to deposit it in their account. And this person just accepted it. They just said, hey, they lost our check, and so I'm out $900. Unacceptable. Whatever it takes, like I said, copy your checks with a copier. To do it with your phone, take pictures of it. Whatever it takes, take the thing. You have a copy of the check, you're going to be better off dealing with the problems. So that's kind of where I'm going with this. Let's just say that the bank says, hey, we lost your check, we're not going to be able to deposit the money. There's nothing you can do about it. And you get down to the nuts and bolts of this thing, and there isn't nothing you're going to be able to do about it, period. Then don't let it happen again. Figure out a solution. Talk to the bank. What's it going to take for this to never happen again? And it might be just as simple as making copies of every single check that you receive. Might be a pain in the butt, but if it's going to be a problem that just keeps on popping up and you just want to keep letting it occur, then I'll tell you right now, you're going to have a tough time in business. Well, we've got to find solutions to our problems, and especially if it's dealing with money in your bank. Now obviously if you lose a check from a client, the bank loses the check, you can obviously have your client rewrite another check. They can cancel the check and rewrite another check. And with our banking today, it's a lot different than when this actually happened to me and the other guy in the story I'm telling you about. But if it does happen to you and you have a copy of the check, then you're going to be a lot better off than if you don't have a copy of it or any proof at all that you even had a check or that you went to the bank and deposited it, whatever. I mean, you get your deposit slip and you just throw it in the trash, and then 2 weeks later you have a problem, but your deposit slip's gone. It's going to be tough, but if you have it, then this is going to help solve the problem a little faster. So I hope I made myself clear there. I kind of went off on a tangent on one point. But in a nutshell, don't let the banks push you around unless they're the only bank in town. I got you there. If there's only 1 or 2 banks in town, you're not going to have a choice. You're going to have to deal with some of the stuff that comes your way. But if there's 10 banks in your community, it just doesn't make any sense to put up with one bank's crap when you could just simply solve this problem by going to another bank.